I was there right there with you, 1 to 5 clients back in the day, but I've grown that. What I tell you here is just going to be what worked for me, but hopefully some of the principles will still stick. How's it going, everybody? Today is another episode of the PPC Cave. It is episode 124. My name is Gene Villano, your host for today. And before we get into it, I want to talk to y'all about Opteo. Opteo is our sponsor, and they are probably the best PPC management software out there. If you're either on TikTok, Microsoft, LinkedIn, Google Ads, I'm probably missing something out there, but it just helps you create optimizations that are meaningful. A lot of the times it's difficult for us to create optimizations, especially if you manage multiple accounts. The reason for that is we don't have enough analysis. Sometimes it's really difficult to go through an hour, 2 or 3 analysis from the Google Ads and the Google Analytics, merging those the information and data together. It's difficult. But with Opteo's new chat AI function, it just makes it a breeze. And don't take my word for it. Go to www.opteo.com/ThePPCCave. Upgrade your 14-day trial to a 28-day trial by letting them know you went to the PPC Cave and heard here first. And if you have trouble setting it up, I will help you. Jumping into our episode, how to get more Google Ads client. Again, it is episode 124. How to get more Google Ads clients. That is the, big question. If you have between 1 to 5 clients, I ask myself this. And first and foremost, I want to let people know, I was there right there with you. I had maybe like 1 to 5 clients back in the day, but I've grown that. And what I tell you here is just going to be what worked for me. It might not be cookie cutter work for you, but hopefully some of the principles will still stick. A little bit of that background from me. I started in 2014, started with an eBay store, and then I was like, okay, I need to create my own store. Bought my domain through bigcartel.com, and I was like, okay, crickets, no one's going to my website. Best way to create traffic quickly is Google Ads. Learn Google Ads, and I never looked back. So I think the big thing is you have to be able to show expertise. And showing expertise doesn't mean putting guru or putting expert in all your handles. I think it's more so showing people actually. What I did was a plethora of things on my Instagram. I went through, and if I had a new 5-star review, I would put it on my story, and then I would put it in one of my what is it called? Highlights. I put in my highlights, and then after a while, it start building, and you see a bunch of 5-star reviews. And for people that are clients or business owners, they're probably going to look you up. Probably going to see if you have any other social media handles, because that's what you do for any business, right? Or if you maybe even are looking for a client and they DM you or email you, and you don't want to get scammed. So you'll look up their, Instagram, look up their Facebook, see if they're legit. And that's the way people shop other people. As a freelancer, you have to be on something other than whatever website you sell on. Or if it be Fiverr or Upwork or freelancer.com, you have to be on other platforms as well, because that's where people are creating research or doing research and basically creating an opinion about if you're relevant or not. And if you're not showing expertise, you're not going to be able to show that you're relevant. So I think that's the biggest thing. And it's not only to your own horn. I think for people that are really looking to get more Google Ads clients, don't post on your personal. Create a new account just for business, so that whoever follows you knows that's kind of what's going to be on that. The type of content that's going to be on that new account is going to be business strictly. So that's probably the first step before even showing expertise. Create something that's just for your business, just for your freelancer agency, and show your expertise. And another way to show expertise is just to be like, hey, this is how maybe like the last month has gone for a client. You don't have to show the client's name. It could just be the screenshot. But I think it's important to do that. And a lot of the times people are like saying, oh, no, you're showing off, blah, blah, blah. No, this is my business account. So I'm showing you how my business is going. If there's a real realtor out there that goes, hey, I just closed a home, they post that. There's no one batting an eye or blinking saying, oh, that guy is showing off. It's the same with Google Ads. You have to be able to show expertise, and you have to be able to show your wins. A lot of the times it goes cross-platform. Maybe you don't have that many wins, or you don't have reviews. Even getting on LinkedIn and talking to people about what you know, I think that could also not only show expertise but create engagement for you. So I think that's super important for you to do. For me, also in 2020, when COVID was going down, TikTok was huge for me, and I still do TikTok here and there. I'll go live and try to answer questions. You have to show expertise and show credibility somehow, some way. And here, obviously, is a podcast. You can do that, and YouTube. YouTube is obviously something that could be both short form and long form ways to show expertise. And don't forget Reddit. I've gotten clients from Reddit just because I'm out there answering questions, and I don't gatekeep. Don't ever gatekeep thinking, I can't tell them this because there's secrets, blah, blah, blah. If it's business or if it's Google Ads, I'll tell you this right now. I've never gate kept all my life. Any knowledge that I have, I am willing to share, but I'm not going to give you a free consultation. But if it's one or two questions and you're genuinely just trying to learn and not have me do the work for you, I'm going to go out of my way and give you whatever information I have. And it's never failed me thus far. So I think that's really important, is to show expertise. And I'll talk about gatekeeping later with my last point. Secondly, the best way to get more Google Ads clients is to keep your own clients right now that you have currently. Retention, retention, retention. That is important. You can't always just be in the season of getting more clients. You also have to take care of the clients that you have. I've been blessed to have some clients that have been with me for 5-6 years. And maybe even longer than that. Some other clients have come and go, but then, maybe they've stayed for 7 years and then has come back. That's happened too. Retention is so important. How do you achieve retention? Achieving retention, in my opinion, the very first thing, especially if you're perhaps onboarding a new client or it's a new relationship you're trying to cultivate, is being able to communicate quickly. And it's not communicating in a rush. It's more so letting the client understand that you heard them and that you've replied to it. There are many times that a client will tell me, hey, can you look at XYZ? And I'm stacked, I'm busy, but I will tell them, hey, XYZ client, I saw that message. Give me until Wednesday, or give me 2 days and I'll be able to give you something about this, or maybe later on that day. I try to do it as quickly as possible, but when it comes to communication, I'm on their time. And a lot of freelancers don't like that. And you might not be, in the right, this is probably harsh, but you might not be in the right area or space if you think freelancing is someone emailing you, then a week later, especially for Google Ads or PPC, then a week later is when you're going to reply. You're not going to have much retention. You're not going to build that credibility and trust with the client. They're going to be like, okay, did they see my message? Are they just taking my money and not taking the retainer money, the retainer fee, and just not doing anything with it? No, you have to be able to communicate quickly. I'm not saying drop everything that you have to communicate, but the quicker that you could ease the qualms and the questions and the concerns of a client by either saying, hey, this is the answer to that email, this is the answer to that text or WhatsApp or message, or you could say, this is when I'll be able to give you that answer. And always, in my opinion, if you're going to say, give me 2 days, try to get it done in 1 day. It's always better to, I would say, under promise and over deliver than vice versa, right? Over promising and under delivering. So I usually say, hey, I'll be able to look at this on Thursday. By Wednesday, I have the answer for them. So I think that's super important to understand. If you want to get more Google Ads clients or just clients in general, you have to be able to retain what you currently have. It's way easier to retain what you currently have than continually think that you should be or deserve a season of getting more clients. Sometimes it's months before I get a new client. So I really value the trust and the process of creating more trust with retaining the current clients that I have. And that goes hand in hand with this sub point under retention, and that's transparency. You have to be able to be transparent with the client. Sometimes you have a bad month. Sometimes it's really difficult to figure out. You could tell them, hey, this is what we've been trying. It's obviously not working, but I want to get ahead of them emailing me, hey, why is this not working? Get ahead of it and be transparent and communicate proactively instead of retroactively. I think that's another great way to retain the current clients that you have. Thirdly, show the account. A lot of the times, if you're updating them, maybe you're only showing a bunch of screenshots here and there. Take a little bit out of your time and create a more long form way to communicate an update instead of just text, instead of just screenshots and emails. I'm not saying do this every time, but to be able to jump in and do a Loom or Zoom video or just screen capture to say, hey, this is your actual account. These are the campaigns that we're running. This is what we're doing. And I think the more that we show the actual account, the better it's going to be for the client to understand, oh, well, this person's actually showing me what's inside. I have more reason to trust them. And, so in my opinion, I'm okay with staying with them for whatever XYZ amount of months, so that's another way to keep your clients and continue on with retention. Another thing is providing your thought process. These clients probably don't know anything about Google Ads, or they think they know and they don't. So if they see something going on in the account, it's easier for you to keep them updated and show your thought process from either a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly perspective than for them to just get the results without an explanation. Because as a business owner, they not only want to know why something is not working, I also want to know why things are working. So if you don't provide a thought process, then you're kind of leaving them in the dark, either from the bad news or the good news. I want to know what's working and what's not working. So providing your thought process and being transparent with the communication and showing the account, all these things, communication are great ways to retain your current client base so that you could add on more, in the future. Thirdly, and last point, is give freely. Understanding that this, just like any business, is a game of compound interest. I started in 2014. It's 2026. That's nearly 12 years later. I've been doing it through the ups and the downs, and it's been more ups than downs, but I understand that the trajectory is not the same for everyone that tries to do this. I think it's a blessing that I got in when I got in and I learned what I did. And then, I always want to thank the clients that I currently have because they're great and would recommend me in a heartbeat, and just the people in the network that I've created. I think it's just good to understand that you will receive compound interest if you are able to understand that this is a long game. Understand that you have to stick with it. Just because you want 20 clients today does not mean you will get 20 clients today. You have to adhere and understand that the market is the market. And if you don't have genuine love for understanding a new business, understanding a new client, seeing the stress or seeing that their account is poorly managed, and you come in there and help them out and guide them, if you don't have the passion for that, it's going to show, because you're going to get impatient. You're going to create premature decisions that is not because of passion, but more so because of the money or the lack thereof. So I think it's important for you to understand that compound interest will occur. It's a long game. Stick to it. And if you have the passion, that's not going to be a hard ask for you. And I kind of touched on this next point earlier under showing expertise, but give knowledge freely. I think the PPC Cave is a great way to do that. If you have any knowledge, put it out there. And I think it's really important for you to also share knowledge to other freelancers in your space. A lot of the times, some people say, oh, I don't want to give them the secret, blah, blah, blah. This is one quote that has always stuck with me. and that is a high tide raises all ships. So it doesn't matter if you're a Meta PPC manager, if you're an SEO, if you're a website developer, if you're even doing Google Ads like myself. If I can help you, I will genuinely help you. And I think that's just so important, just because I believe in the golden rule. If you want something for yourself, do it to someone else first, and pass it on first. And I think the more that you give knowledge freely or help other people without asking for anything in return, somehow, some way that gets back to you. And yeah, I think that's just super important. That's just basically how me and Ryan met. I won't go into the story of how me and Ryan met. If you guys want to ask him, ask him. But that's how me and Ryan met. So yeah, definitely provide information where you can provide it. Next is, don't be so strict with, even for the clients that you have, don't be so strict on getting the retainer that you want at first. A lot of the times we have a hard ask. This is XYZ retainer monthly. This is what I charge per hour. If you see a lead come in and it's warm and they're interested, but price becomes an issue, yes, that could potentially be a headache client, but it could also be the start of a great relationship. So I would rather give someone the benefit of the doubt of giving them either a discount or even free management, and then them understanding, wow, Gene really knows his stuff. Now I'm willing to work with him because all of my objections have been answered by via discount or a free month, than to not have had the opportunity at all. I think that's important, in this business, and even in general, is don't have your fists closed too much. Just be a little bit more giving, never gatekeep. And if someone comes into your pipeline and is asking you for management, but for some reason they can't afford it or whatever it may be, maybe cut them a little slack, but also have some type of discernment, have some wisdom, and understand, that's not always the best. But for me, like I said, this is my experience, and I've done this for many clients, and it's worked out for me. So, yeah, hopefully you guys get more Google Ads clients through showing expertise, retention, and being able to give freely. Again, we release every Monday, 12 a.m. Mountain Time. Don't forget about our sponsors. Opteo, www.opteo.com/ThePPCCave. Upgrade your 14-day trial to a 28-day trial today. If you have any questions, go to ThePPCCave@gmail.com. Or, sorry, no, we don't have a website. Go to ThePPCCave@gmail.com and just send us a email. Or you could go into our IG or any of our socials and just DM us. We've been getting more messages through the PPC Cave IG, and that's wonderful. So keep them coming. We are not bothered or annoyed by any of these questions. If it seems like I am annoyed or we are annoyed, we're not. We're just trying to provide the information, and sometimes it's, the answer is coaching, right? And I just can't give you the full breakdown because I don't see the account. So, be free to send us any questions through any of those channels, and we'll be able to, maybe even address it on our show. But yeah, this is episode 124, and there's nothing else. Bye for now.